So welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Cliff Thorbes. I'm your presenter for today's presentation. I'd like to thank the Disabled Independent Gardeners Association, commonly known as DIGA, I think, if I'm pronouncing it right, for inviting me here today to present to you, and you for joining us. I'd like to begin by acknowledging all our Coast Salish peoples who live here on the west coast of North America and who have been stewards of these lands since time immemorial, including the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh nations, whose unceded traditional territories I currently live, work, study, grow, and play upon. And I'm going to pause a moment for you to silently acknowledge to yourself as well, if you want to, any unceded traditional territories you currently live, work, study, grow, and play upon as well. And I'd like to express my gratitude towards Mother Earth for all she provides for us each and every day. It's a beautiful day where I am, a little bit windy, but I like the wind and it's blue skies. So to begin my presentation, I need to let you know that I'm not just one thing. I'm a registered horticultural therapist, certified career development practitioner, mental health first aid Canada facilitator, swimming coach, expressive artist, stream keeper, gardener, and nature lover. So in addition to that, I'm trained in critical incident stress management, thought field therapy, reflexology, and supporting others after traumatic loss. That's important for you to know because I use all of those educational and practical experiences in my work as a horticultural therapist. And that's why, frankly, I feel like at this stage in my career, I'm finally doing what I'm meant to do. Today, I'm going to talk to you about well-being through the lens and from the perspective of a horticultural therapist. So if you're like me, you're probably experiencing more worry, anxiety, and stress than usual as a result of the pandemic. So in our time together today, I'm going to share with you simple strategies I use to help myself and others live healthier. I hope these same strategies can build your own resilience bank and promote improved health for you too. I need to say that there are limitations to what I'm going to share with you. I don't claim that any of the strategies included in my presentation will eliminate your health problems, but I do hope that each of you will leave with at least one or two takeaways that will eventually become part of your own well-being regimen, and you'll share them with others as well. That's how I learned from others who shared their wisdom with me. Now, you'll notice during my presentation, I lean towards plants and nature and their ability to promote wellness for us. And I'm not alone in that belief. In fact, there is a wealth of evidence-based research to support the therapeutic benefits of a regular practice connecting with plants and nature. So the photograph you see before you here is an example of two strategies I use to promote my own well-being. It's a combination of spending time daily, connecting with plants and nature, and using affirmations, or what I like to call them, power words, to help me focus on actions and behaviors that instill positivity within me. So an affirmation is really anything you say or think. Now, a lot of what we normally say and think can be quite negative and doesn't create good of experience for us. Affirmations are proven methods to rewire our brains. I use affirmations in stressful situations to prevent me from entering panic mode and bring me back into balance. So for now, I invite you to find a comfortable position, close your eyes if you feel safe to, and visualize yourself somewhere surrounded by plants and nature, and what these power words would look like for you. Let go. Unwind. Create. Enjoy. Peace. Celebrate. Relax. Trust. Connect. And breathe. Now, before I go a little bit further, any further, I'm hearing someone might not be on mute in the background, so I'll just ask everyone to make sure that they're on mute so the sounds don't distract me. Thank you so much. So before I get too much further into the presentation, I also want to clarify some terms I use throughout it. Here's a definition for health from the World Health Organization. I'll give you a moment to read it. Now, notice that this definition of health doesn't just prioritize one aspect of health. It's a holistic, comprehensive approach to health that includes physical, mental, social, and for some, there's a spiritual aspect to it. Health isn't a passive process. Our health requires our attention, similar to how you would like tend a garden by nourishing the soil and watering the plants so that they can produce beautiful flowers and delicious food for you. And what is resilience? So resilience is ordinary, not extraordinary. We all possess a capacity for it. Resilience is the process of overcoming adversity and adapting well during periods of change, trauma, tragedy, and other significant sources of stress. And we can build our resilience banks by having access to a diversity of supports like vocational, cognitive, emotional, physical, social, spiritual, cultural, and nature to assist us with bouncing back from difficult experiences. A metaphor is a thing regarded as representative or symbolic of something else. As a horticultural therapist, I often use therapeutic metaphors inspired by plants and nature to help my clients gain insight about themselves and others. So take moss, for example. Moss is an excellent example of resilience in nature. Moss gets stepped upon and it dries out under the heat of the sun. Yet when the rains come, it springs back to life. And a garden is an excellent example of adapting to change. A garden experiences dramatic change from season to season, from life to death. And yet each spring, what does it do? It bounces back to begin a new cycle of growth all over again. Working with and living close to plants and nature reminds us that we're subject to the same rhythms of birth, growth, decay, and death found in the cycles of plants and nature. Witnessing their renewal and resilience connects us to our own reserves of strength and helps us to navigate stress and threats like COVID-19 and change. Now here's the million-dollar question today. What is horticultural therapy? So horticultural therapy merges both education and practical experience in horticulture, which is the cultivation of gardens, plant care, and propagation. And you add in human services, which is at its roots the interdisciplinary practice of servicing others to combine together to create a therapeutic modality that is client-centered and with formal procedures for documentation, administering assessments, formulating goals, measuring and recording outcomes. Now, there's a less formal version of horticultural therapy, and that's called therapeutic horticulture. Therapeutic horticulture provides similar activities, but follows a less formal process. So goals and defined outcomes for individual clients are not necessarily considered or clinically documented. Now, I'm a horticultural therapist registered, which means I've met the educational and practical experience requirements for registered professional status with the Canadian Horticultural Therapy Association. The Canadian Horticultural Therapy Association's mission is to promote the use and awareness of horticulture as a therapeutic modality. Now, the services I currently offer as a horticultural therapist include educational training in horticultural therapy, facilitating support groups. I provide guided walks in Stanley Park and Lighthouse Park in Vancouver and West Vancouver. Speaking engagements like this one today for DIGA. And I'm on the board of the Canadian Horticultural Therapy Association, where, among other things, I coordinate a team of volunteers that review applications for professional registration as a horticultural therapist. So taking the time to connect with plants and nature daily in person is one important way we can all live healthier. And by nature, I mean that which is not human-made and includes all living things and the natural landscape that provides a home for it all. As a horticultural therapist, I like to tell others I'm in the business of connecting others to plants and nature in a mindful way. Experiencing therapeutic benefits while connecting with plants and nature has helped me move through past traumatic periods in my life. My recovery motivated me to pursue becoming a horticultural therapist. We live in a world and time driven by technology, but we're organic beings of nature who are dependent on the natural world around us for survival. Humans have spent 99% of our time on Earth as hunter-gatherers living intimately within wild places. Attachment research highlights the crucial need to have secure connections from which we can head out into the world, including a secure relationship with Mother Earth as an important attachment figure that helps us to regulate and provide a sense of meaning. Separating ourselves from our instinctive connection to plants and nature results in disconnection, loss, loneliness, and folks, ultimately distress. Connecting with plants and nature through horticultural and nature-based activities like spending time in a forest, surrounded by trees and plants, planting seedlings in a garden and tending to them while they grow, positioning your indoor plants around your home and workspaces, getting actively involved in stewardship of the environment around us on some level, and even what we're doing now, looking at an image of nature on a computer screen, provides opportunities to connect with something greater than ourselves and experience the therapeutic benefits of that connection. It's in our genes, folks, to live in harmony with plants and nature. Nature itself is the primary therapeutic source and facilitator. Nature inherently has the capacity to heal or relieve an unwanted condition. Connecting with plants and nature for therapeutic benefits is a complementary approach to maintaining health based on evidence-based research and has been shown to reduce blood pressure, heart rate, production of stress hormones and anxiety, restore concentration, focus, and attention, improve your energy, sleep, sensory stimulation, and mood, increase resilience and creativity, and strengthen the immune system, which is vital at this point in time with the pandemic. I invite you now to join me for a nature moment. For the next minute, I invite you to close your eyes and listen to the sounds of nature and allow yourself to visualize what the flora might look like, a location for the sounds, what the flora might smell and feel like as well. And slowly open your eyes and return to the current moment. And pause for a check-in with yourself. How do you feel? Calm, restored, re-energized? If so, that's just a small example of the therapeutic potential of connecting with plants and nature. This is my garden, folks. It's one of the things I'm most proud of and grateful for in my life. Gardening is a key strategy I use to apply the principle of horticultural therapy for my own professional practice. My garden calms and restores me. It feeds my spirit and belly. It keeps me moving and learning. It teaches me about life, and you know, I'm never lonely in my garden. I'm ashamed to share this, but currently my garden consists of more than 80 containers outdoors and at least another 20 indoors. And I'm always looking for ways to squeeze another container or 2 or 3 in. Actually, right now, I've told myself the last week, I've got my last seeds in, and I've told myself I'm cut off. No more containers. I grow predominantly herbs and leafy green vegetables. My favorite plant is lavender. I have about 15 different types at the moment. I love that lavender attracts bees to my garden and has many medicinal and culinary uses. So from spring to autumn, my garden definitely feeds me more ways than one. Sunlight, exercise, and contact with the soil play central roles in gardening's restorative effect on the central nervous system. Gardens require taking care of, and through taking care of plants, the plants give back to us. Tending to my plants teaches me how to live. I have a quote here from Sue Stewart Smith. She's the author of The Well Gardened Mind, The Restorative Power of Nature. If you haven't read this book and you are a gardener, I highly recommend this book. I love this book. I have so many quotes I've captured from it. So a garden gives you a protected physical space, which helps increase your sense of mental space. And it gives you quiet so you can hear your own thoughts. My garden is a place of refuge for me. Gardening puts me in touch with the fundamental aspects of living, and I believe frees me up internally to sort things out and work them through. So as a home gardener, I've created a healing gardener for myself. As a horticultural therapist, on the other hand, I work with clients in therapeutic gardens. Is there a difference between the two? For me, yes, there is. So a healing garden generally takes a more personal approach to designing a space. I would describe my own garden as a healing garden. A healing garden typically has a special entrance to invite or embrace the visitor. It uses water to calm our nervous system. It has creative use of color and lighting to attract our attention. There's an emphasis on natural features and materials so we feel like we're immersed in nature. There's a careful integration of art to provide contrast. There's features that attract and provide habitat for a diversity of wildlife so we feel like we're part of something bigger than ourselves. And an overall design that provides opportunities to comfort the soul and renew the spirit. Now compare that to therapeutic landscapes or gardens, which are designed to meet specific needs of a specific patient population. So therapeutic gardens can be found in a variety of settings like hospitals, nursing homes, assisted living residences, outpatient centers, hospice residences, and other healthcare and residential environments. Typically, a therapeutic garden is a safe, secure space designed with the intention of creating a place that promotes people's health, happiness, and well-being. It has well-defined perimeters and features modifications to improve accessibility, enabling gardeners and visitors to see and study the plants, to touch and smell them, and to experience garden growth in their own way, on their own terms, and at their own pace. And typically, a therapeutic garden has scheduled programs, special events, and classes occurring there. So these are a set of, these are two of a set of 15 prompts I created for Horticultural Therapy Week this past March. It was a campaign on social media to encourage other horticultural therapists like myself, therapeutic horticulturalists as well, to practice self-care through a mindful connection with nature. The prompts included things like getting exercise outdoors, sensory stimulation through inspecting plants up close, grounding activities like connecting with the tree, noticing examples of resilience and transitions in nature, practicing mindful eating and relaxed breathing in a nature setting. What is mindfulness? I don't know if you've heard of Jon Kabat-Zinn. According to Jon Kabat-Zinn, he's an American professor of medicine. He's an author, the creator of the mindfulness-based stress reduction clinic. Mindfulness is paying attention on purpose in a particular way to the present moment, non-judgmentally. Connecting with plants and nature in a mindful way helps build those core premises of mindfulness, like awareness, noticing, and attention to the present moment, by directly experiencing each moment as it arises moment by moment, and approaching our relationships with others without judgment. Gardens teach us acceptance and being with what is. So for example, not every seed planted comes to fruition. That's the simple law of nature. And additionally, plants and nature can teach us about letting go, compassion, and patience. So I'm often asked, what do you do with people as a horticultural therapist? What do you do to help them achieve therapeutic goals? Well, there are many, many activities I can facilitate to achieve therapeutic outcomes. And actually, each horticultural therapist, therapeutic horticulturalist has their own favorite activities they like to facilitate. One category of activities are horticultural-based activities that involve a direct connection between plants and the client. Examples of activities in this category I like to facilitate with clients are any type of gardening activity like planting seeds, garden maintenance activities like deadheading, raking, sweeping, watering, weeding, propagating, and pruning. Those are all examples of that. I love designing and planting up indoor and outdoor containers. And even floral arrangement is an example of a horticultural-based activity. So I'm studying the technique of the Japanese floral arrangement technique of ikebana, and hoping to teach that to my clients as well. Another category of activities are nature-based activities, and examples here include providing guided nature walks. And when I provide a guided nature walk, I love to include plant identification as well. Shinrin-yoku, have you heard of that? That's the Japanese practice of forest bathing, where you take the time to stimulate all the senses while you're in a forest setting. And experiencing a labyrinth. A labyrinth is a singular circular pathway leading to a center, different from a maze. I don't like mazes, but I do like labyrinths. I describe labyrinths as experiencing labyrinths rather than walking them, because in addition to walking them, I also like just to draw labyrinths and take my finger and travel through them. I find that very calming and very relaxing to do. Another large category of activities includes botanical arts and crafts. So these are creative activities that use a wide range of materials from nature. So the photo you see here before you is of a nature mandala, which is a geometric pattern made using materials from nature. Other activities that I like to facilitate from this category are a God's eye. You might have made those when you were a child. A nature mosaic, drawing, coloring, painting nature-themed images, nature palettes, wreaths, nature wreaths, and nature collages. Also under this category, I would include all the culinary activities, like making teas from freshly harvested herbs, or baking and other food dishes that you'd make again with freshly harvested plant materials. Now, journaling is another activity that encourages both curiosity and creativity, so potential therapeutic outcomes with that one as well. When I introduced myself at the beginning, I don't know if you remember, I shared with you that I'm an expressive artist. And expressive artist is someone who likes to explore and express themselves using a combination of arts like dance, writing, visual arts, drama, music, photography, and other creative outlets. I'm going to share with you, I'm also, since this is, I don't know if you know, this is CMHA Mental Health Week, May 3rd to 9th. So I'm going to help break down that stigma and share with you, I'm also a person living with an anxiety-related disorder. When I was younger, I experienced violence against me that was very traumatic. My my recovery continues to go well, but I'll be honest with you, some days and during specific situations like COVID-19, my anxiety can really be a problem for me. I have my bad days. What seems to really help me manage my anxiety, one of the things is creating something in my journal. Sometimes I draw in my journal, then color it. I also like to write in my journal too. I write in my journal mostly things I'm interested in at the moment. So here you see I was interested in the different parts of a flower. I also like writing poetry. I love to experiment with different types of poetry. For me, my journal is safe. It's a safe and confidential place for me to express my thoughts and feelings. From time to time, I like to go back and review sections of my journal to reflect upon and acknowledge what I've learned since then and how I've grown. So I mentioned I like writing creative poetry. So in my journal, I really like creating haiku. What is haiku? Haiku is a Japanese poem, traditionally of 17 syllables in 3 lines of 5, 7, and 5. And it evokes images of the natural world. When I create a haiku, I turn to nature for inspiration. It encourages me to look closely at nature around me, and it brings out my creativity. Now, to be honest with you, I tend to stray a bit from the traditional haiku guidelines, but not too far. So for me, the most important characteristics of a haiku are it doesn't rhyme. It's not meant to rhyme. To write it in 3 lines, keep it in the present tense, not to use punctuation, to try to suggest a specific season through what they call a kigo or season word without actually stating winter, summer, spring, or autumn. To inspire a feeling in the reader without stating it, and to include what they call a kuriji word or words that cuts the poems into 2 distinct parts. So here's my haiku. Shades of yellow, skunk cabbage and dandelions, double-edged sword. Now, if we go back to the guidelines, I haven't rhymed. I've used 3 lines with syllable counts of 4, 8, and 4, which isn't the traditional, but it works for me. The season I'm trying to suggest without stating it is spring. The feeling I'm trying to emit is one of acceptance, but with a hint of apprehension. And my kuriji is the phrase double-edged sword. So my intent was to imply that many things, including plants, can have good and bad qualities to them at the same time. It really depends, though, on how you look upon something. I think expressive writing styles like haiku are safe and creative ways to express thoughts and feelings that might not otherwise be heard. Here's another activity. Guided calming visualization is a nature-based activity I provide for my participants of my virtual therapeutic and wellness trainings. It's based on one of the best supported approaches in psychology. We feel and behave according to the images and thoughts in our minds. So if we visualize a peaceful, calming scene from nature, our bodies and our minds will relax. The therapeutic outcomes for this activity include cognitive, so it requires concentration and the ability to visualize something that's not actually there in the moment. Physical and emotional, it's meant to relax, activate your parasympathetic nervous system, and ultimately improve mood. And spiritual, through connecting with memories of a location from nature that have positive associations for us, for the participant. Participants are able to experience a deeper connection with the world around them. I recommend when you're choosing a place from nature to visualize, you want it to be a peaceful and safe environment, a place you felt relaxed and happy at before. You also want to pick a place that stimulates all your senses if you can. For example, what does the place smell like? What does the place sound like? And what can you touch around you? The more you can exercise your senses, the more effective your visualization experience will be. Now, I need to be honest. What I've experienced while visualizing, stressful thoughts may appear out of nowhere. So have a plan to transform them. What I do is I try imagining them effortlessly being swept away by the wind or the ocean tide, carried off to wherever they want to go. Now, visualization may not be easy or relaxing right away. When you first start out, I found that actually trying to think of what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to feel can get in the way of visualization being a calming experience. So for best results, I recommend, like anything else, you'll need to practice it until it becomes a natural thing for you to do. So for now, let's give this a try. I invite you now to join me for a guided, calming visualization experience. So for this experience, we're all going to visualize a favorite beach of our own. All right. So pick a beach that's relaxing, appeals to your multiple senses, that's safe, and brings up positive memories for you. And begin by finding a comfortable position sitting. Relax your shoulders, your neck, and jaw, and clench it if you've got it clenched. Ground yourself by placing both feet flat on the floor, and notice or feel the natural heaviness of the soles of your feet against the surface beneath them, as if you're connected to the ground, like you have roots growing through the soles of your feet. Now notice your hands. Tap your fingers on your lap. And now pause to notice the rhythm of a breath cycle or two. Notice that there's an in-breath that's followed by an out-breath. An inhalation followed by an exhalation. If you feel safe to, go ahead and close your eyes and begin visualizing yourself approaching your favorite beach. As you look out in front of you, what do you see? Can you see the water? And if you look up, is it a sunny day? And if you turn your head to the right, what do you see down that side of the beach? And if you turn your head to the left, what do you see down that side of the beach? Pause now to take an in-breath and then exhale out slowly. And what sounds can you hear at your beach? Can you hear the sound of the water? Are there birds at this beach? Can you hear a seagull, a raven, or an eagle? Can you hear the voices of other people? Pause now to take an in-breath and then exhale out slowly. And what can you smell at your beach? Can you smell the salt air, the seaweed, or volatile oils of the conifer trees and plants nearby? Pause now to take an in-breath and then exhale out slowly. And what things can you touch at your beach? If you were to put your feet in the water, what's the temperature of the water like today? Is it cool or warm? And perhaps you see a rock or shell nearby that captures your attention and you pick it up to inspect it closer. How does it feel in your hand? Is it wet, round, smooth, sharp, or rough? Pause now to take an in-breath and then exhale out slowly. Now visualize yourself having a picnic at your beach and eating your favorite foods. What do those foods taste like? And as you're eating your food and admiring the view before you, you notice how your body and mind feels when you're here at your favorite beach. Your body feels calm and relaxed and free of physical tension. And your mind feels peaceful and tranquil and free of stressful thoughts. Pause now to take an in-breath and then exhale out slowly. Before we prepare to leave our favorite beach, let's decide to linger a bit longer to offer our gratitude to Mother Earth. Thank you, Mother Earth, for the many gifts you bestow upon us each and every day, including the air we breathe, the water that hydrates us, the food that comes from your soil that nourishes us, and the beauty you provide before our eyes to keep our mood and spirits lifted. We are eternally grateful. And now if your eyes were closed, you can now slowly begin to open them. Be gentle with yourself and take notice of your surroundings. One thing we can do to ground us in the present moment again is we can do a cognitive awareness grounding exercise. So I'd ask you silently to yourself, answer these questions. What's your first, middle, and last names? What address are you at? What's today's date? And how old are you? Now pause to reflect upon how you feel. Do you feel calmer, more relaxed? And is your attention restored and focused? So before I wrap up my presentation, I want to tell you about a training I offer. It's Foundations for Practitioners of Horticultural Therapy. It's a virtual course designed to provide students with a foundation for providing horticultural therapy services. For students with prior education and training in horticultural therapy, this course is also an opportunity to refresh skills and knowledge previously learned. In this course, students become more familiar with terminology and procedures used in providing horticultural therapy services. They study templates to plan horticultural therapy programs, sessions, and activities. They practice how to formulate outcomes for horticultural therapy. They experience a variety of assessments. They use a model to resolve ethical dilemmas, and they explore strategies for maintaining their own ongoing professionalism. The course is 40 hours in total and uses a blended training model with a 50-50 split between group-based virtual classroom sessions on Zoom with me and independent learning that includes completing required readings and course assignments. Students who attend all virtual classroom sessions, participate and complete all assignments, qualify for a certificate of completion at the end of the course. Currently, I'm running a spring cohort. Melissa here today is one of my students in this cohort, but I am also reserving space for anyone who's interested in the next cohort, which is most likely going to run late summer or early autumn. And as both a registered horticultural therapist and an inhabitant of this planet, I believe that we must all take responsibility for our actions and do our part to care for Mother Earth. Instead of relying solely on levels of government to demonstrate protection for the environment around us, I believe we must each act individually and collectively to maintain our atmosphere, our flora, wildlife, geography, and ecosystems. Some simple ways you can act to protect the atmosphere, trees, wetlands, pollinators, whales, salmon, and other wildlife are by planting native trees. Find out what the native trees are in your area and plant them. Leave your car parked or your motorboat docked and choose to ride a bike, paddle a kayak or canoe, or walk instead. Cut down on what you throw away by following the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, and recycle. Find out about organizations in your area. Volunteer with an organization in your community to clean up litter from public green spaces. to remove invasive plants from wetlands, or to nurture your local salmon stocks. I know here on the West Coast, I mentioned the salmon stocks because I'm a stream keeper, and that's what we do here. And educate yourself how to live responsibly with Mother Earth so that you can help others understand the importance and value the same. I leave you with this question. What will each of you do personally to take responsibility for keeping Mother Earth healthy for the generations to come? And finally, to finish off this presentation, here I go again. I'm going to recite for you one of my favorite nature poems. This poem helps instill well-being within me. I say it to myself multiple times throughout the day, so I know it off by heart. It's called When I'm Among the Trees by the amazing Mary Oliver. It goes like this. When I'm among the trees, especially the willows and the honey locusts, equally the beech, the oaks, and the pines, they give off such hints of gladness. I would almost say that they save me, and daily. I'm so distant from the hope of myself in which I have goodness and discernment, and never hurry through the world, but walk slowly and bow often. Around me, the trees stir in their leaves, and they call out, "Stay a while." The light flows from their branches, and they call again. It's simple, they say. And you, too, all of you, have come into the world to do this, to go easy, to be filled with light, and to shine. Thank you everyone so much for attending. I know it's not a big crowd here right now. It doesn't matter. I've felt your energy, so thank you so much for attending today. I wish you all the success with your gardens and gardening. Here you've got my contact information. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to contact me directly by email at cliffthorbes@shaw.ca. That's all I have, other than to say, be well, safe, and stay calm.